So Kevin, please state your name and date of this recording.
My name is Kevin Hartl, H-I-R-T-L, and this is October 28th.
29th.
29th, sorry.
This is John Hartl, Kevin's brother, doing the recording. And it's 8:10 p.m. So tell us about your employer, most recent employer, and job title.
I was the director for geology in the A&D team, acquisitions and divestitures, for a company called Enervest. They were an oil and gas operating company. Worked with them since April of 2012, so it was coming up on 8 years.
And when was your last day there?
My last day there was December 13th of 2019. Got caught up in that round of layoffs. It was probably maybe the 6th round of layoffs they've been through, and of course they've been through more layoffs now since. So yeah, really hoping they survive.
And tell me about the main duties of your job there.
For the last year, as director of A&D group, it was evaluating potential properties that the company would buy, and then operate and drill wells and do that sort of stuff. So in doing that, typically we would walk or take a car ride to a bank that was putting together the sale. So it'd be like a presentation that the bank would be putting on. And there would also be a booklet that the presentation would come with. So the booklet would have all the text in it, all laid out, and then you would go to the bank and they'd basically just present you leaf by leaf what's in the book.
As far as evaluating, what does that mean?
Well, evaluating, so there's a lot of different aspects to a deal. There's the geology, which would be my responsibility, is how well are they representing the geology in terms of how many wells they think could really be drilled on the property. Mm-hmm. Is the geologic concept viable? There's lots of different kinds to that. So,
but how do you do the evaluation, or what's the work of it?
Yeah, so along with the booklet would also be what they call a virtual data room, and in that virtual data room would be a whole ton of data, and they'd give you all their production data. They would often have geologic maps and data sets to go with the geologic story that they're putting together. And then, of course, there'd be a whole lot of land documents and documents for pipeline and gathering for how you're going to get the oil and gas to market. So basically, it would cover the gamut. But I would typically just focus on the geology part.
Which is what, though? Is it charts and graphs, and what are you looking at?
So often be spreadsheets. The way companies sell a property is they'll drill a couple wells and they'll produce a certain amount, and then they'll draw a series of sticks. So just, point A to point B sticks that would say where you would put all of your horizontal wells. Typically, all the deals we looked at were mostly horizontal deals at this point.
Gotcha.
And so in that, you have to validate that on their land position, can they draw all of those sticks that they've drawn? And then you have to evaluate with the engineer, is it viable, the length of the laterals that they've put in there? And is it viable, that length at that certain depth? And then are there what they call geohazards? So are there faults where the Earth's crust is slipped?
Gotcha.
Because you typically don't want to drill across faults. So have they placed any of these sticks in hazardous areas geologically? So you evaluate them, and then from a gathering standpoint, mm-hmm. Have they got them? How close are these locations to a pipeline that you could connect to a sales route?
And what does the output of your work look like? Is reports or presentations, or what?
I typically put together maps is my most significant contribution to it.
Using what?
Using what program you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we do use Geographics, would be the geologic software, and then ArcGIS Pro was typically how you then do the final presentation.
Well, what's the work? Are you drawing pictures or writing words, or what is the?
So the work, yeah, it's primarily on the computer. I would be either standing or sitting in front of a computer. I had a sit-stand desk that would go up and down. And it's just a lot of just staring at the screen. They call it Nintendo geology these days because you're just on the computer most of the time.
Right.
Yeah, so outside of various meetings, it would be, I would say 80% of my time was at a workstation, looking at typically two 30-inch monitors and looking back and forth and mouse clicking and typing and that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.